Hello, I'm Lucy from In the Midst of Madness, and I mostly just wanted to give you an update. I have been meaning to do a video for months, and I keep putting it off and I keep not doing it, and I very nearly didn't do it today, and I just thought I really needed to just take the plunge and just let you know how I'm doing and what's been going on and why I've not been here, etc, etc. As ever, it's another update. I don't seem to ever manage to actually talk about just mental health stuff. I seem to always end up just updating you on where I've disappeared to last. But yeah, I can't actually remember when I last did a video. I think it was about October time. And yeah, I think things have been quite difficult, but I was kind of coming out the other side of that. And October and November, there were difficult things going on in my life, but I was actually coping quite well, which I was really pleased about. And yeah, then Christmas came, and I was quite excited about Christmas, but I was also really quite anxious about it. That it was quite a high pressure Christmas, quite high stakes, for various reasons, and my birthday's right before Christmas, so it's always very exciting but kind of stressful now I'm ill, because there's a lot going on all at once, and between that and trying to visit lots of relatives or see people, and trying to not catch COVID, etc, it's just a lot. Anyway, yeah, so we did my birthday and that was really nice, and then basically from the day after that I just felt really on edge, and it was happening for more and more of the day, and then it was seeping into my sleep as well, so I wasn't getting to sleep, and then I was having nightmares or panic attacks in my sleep, and I was really struggling. Anyway, we got to Christmas Day, and we were spending it at my dad's, which I was really excited about, and I really thought sort of as soon as I got there I'd be fine, because whenever I go there, kind of within 10-20 minutes, I feel a lot better, and I've been working really hard at that for the last like 18 months, so I was pretty convinced that once I got there I'd be fine, and I wasn't. And that was really hard, and I was so self-conscious and so worried that I was going to ruin Christmas or have to go home, and I just felt under so much pressure, and it was all pressure I was putting on myself, but it felt like it was from others as well. And I mean, they were all so lovely, and I ended up bursting into tears at one point because I was just so kind of stressed out. And I hadn't realised that actually I looked ill as well. About 2 hours into being there, I went to the loo and looked in the mirror, and I was just white as a sheet, which doesn't normally happen. Normally my anxiety is pretty invisible unless you really know me. But yeah, I looked like a ghost, and I couldn't eat anything. I felt really sick. Thankfully, Christmas dinner was really late, which my dad kept apologising for, and honestly I was just so thankful, because we were meant to eat at 3, and at 3 I couldn't even swallow, like I literally couldn't put food in my mouth, and then about 3:30 my symptoms just seemed to just calm down, and we had Christmas dinner at 4. By which point I was absolutely ravenous, because I had spent all day being so anxious and not eating anything at all since the night before. So I really enjoyed Christmas dinner, and absolutely wolfed it down. So that was all fine, and like for the rest of the day I was absolutely fine. We had a really lovely time, we played some board games, we stayed really quite late, and that was all lovely. And then when Joe and I got home, I just felt the anxiety rising again, and it was like, but I'm not doing anything, what on earth? And we were meant to be going and seeing his aunt and uncle the next day, and that had been really kind of up in the air, because we knew I may well not be able to do it, and I knew there was no way I was going to be able to get out the door to theirs. And I just ended up like bursting into tears, having this like massive sort of sobbing panic attack thing at like midnight on Christmas night, because I just felt completely overwhelmed, and I'd been feeling like this all week, and I'd got through Christmas Day and we'd had a lovely time despite it being really challenging, and I didn't feel better, and that just felt so overwhelming, and I felt so trapped, which is an absolute running theme with my anxiety, and just kind of like I was letting everyone down, and yeah, just completely and utterly overwhelmed. So Joe did go and see his aunt and uncle the next day, and I just kind of potted about and tried to get my anxiety to calm down and keep distracted, and it basically just didn't calm down until the next night, so the night of the 27th. So I'd had days of this, and this is exactly what happened in July last year for no reason. This time obviously there was a reason. I'd been very stressed about Christmas, but in July there'd been no reason at all. But once Christmas was done, I kind of thought, okay, I'll be alright. But it just never fully went. So it got better than this like level 9 and 10 anxiety, but it never got back to the level that it sort of is day to day generally when I don't have things coming up that I'm super anxious about. And yeah, it's been on and off like that since then, and we're now middle to end of April, and I'm exhausted. Like, I am really, really wiped out, and yeah, I kept thinking it was sort of going to end and then I was going to be able to talk about it, or like, because when I'm in the thick of that, I can't really function. And I don't like talking about that, even though it's really important to talk about, because like, I'm sure loads and loads of people go through this, and I've always wanted to be really open and honest on here, to tell people kind of exactly what it's like rather than just the sanitised version. But when you're in it, it's very difficult to even kind of put it into words, and like quite often I don't even tell people, sometimes even Joe, until I'm sort of coming out the other side of it, because it kind of feels like if I say something, it'll make it real. Even though actually saying something and sort of naming it does very slightly take the edge off, which I'm trying to learn. This is all quite new to me. I haven't really had these really acute periods that last until July last year, and I've now had 3 of them, because yeah, so I kind of calmed down for 2 or 3 weeks in January, and I've been meaning to sign up to therapy for, well, I don't even know how long, ages, and I've been trying to get myself well enough to be able to reliably go, and then when I sort of feel better, I then end up busy or forgetting or just thinking, oh no, because like this really is what feels like sort of my last chance to get better. The NHS aren't offering me anything at all, and so I need to go private, and it's not something that I'm going to talk about here for the moment. I think what I'm going to do is record videos during, that I will then post sort of later when I'm ready, because I'm notorious for forgetting things, and not really remembering how bad things were or how good things were or when things happened or what it felt like at the time. So I want to kind of document it, but I really don't cope well with pressure, and so I really don't want to kind of put myself under pressure of kind of telling everyone what's going on, or even what the therapy is, or anything like that. Like, I wasn't even sure if I was going to say anything about therapy at all, but it's relevant to what's going on, so I need to mention it. But yeah, I won't be talking about that here for the foreseeable future. But hopefully at some point in the future I will, and as I say, I will record some videos about it, because I think going for therapy is quite a weird process. Even though I've been for therapy loads of times before, like, this feels quite different, and it's a totally different therapy from anything I've had before, and going private is really odd, and I've had so many worries, and yeah, it's just been a really odd experience. And I have no idea yet if it's going to help or make me better or make me a bit better or cure me or anything. I have literally no idea. But yeah, I will try and talk about that in the future, just not at the moment. But yeah, so I got in touch with this therapist in the end of January, and met with her at the beginning of February, and I was really struggling with my functioning. Like, I was really struggling to get there. My IBS has massively kicked off recently. As seasoned viewers will know, I've had IBS since I was 19, and I tried the low FODMAP diet, I think 5 years ago, something like that, and that was life-changing. Like, it completely controlled my symptoms. It was absolutely brilliant, until it wasn't. And a year and a bit ago now, so nearly a year and a half, my partner's mum died, and my IBS just stopped being controlled, actually the day of her funeral, and I was super ill, and I'd eaten absolutely nothing that disagreed with me in preparation for going, and I had such an upset stomach, and it was really, really traumatic and difficult to deal with. And I've had a few times since then where I have eaten nothing for days that I shouldn't have, and I'm still getting really horrible symptoms that are really, really debilitating. And so yeah, that had started ramping up before Christmas. I'm also absolutely phobic of being sick, and I keep feeling sick. I haven't been sick yet, and IBS doesn't make you vomit. But I keep feeling sick. And so all of this stuff is really, really physically overwhelming, on top of having very, very overwhelming anxiety. And it's just been a lot. Anyway, I got to therapy and I was like, right, I'm here, I am going to put my heart and soul into this and get the absolute most from it that I possibly can. And my body really had other ideas, and it has been extremely difficult to get there, to stay there, etc. And a few weeks into the therapy, I came home and I was absolutely fine, and that evening I ended up just in floods of tears, like full on sobbing, and I barely ever cry, and if I do, I stop as soon as I can. I'm not a very emotional person. I'm very, very closed in terms of feeling things sort of visibly. But yeah, this lasted like an hour and a half, and it just came out of nowhere. So that was really weird, and I kind of thought, oh, this is really unusual for me, but maybe that's just the therapy kicking in or something, I don't know. Anyway, I had therapy the following week, and ended up in a complete state in therapy. Literally the minute I walked in the door, it wasn't even anything she said, I just ended up sobbing. And by the end of the session I felt a lot better and calmer, and I was well enough to go to my dad's, and we had a really lovely time, and I gave my niece her birthday present. She turned 3 and I'd made her a crochet Gruffalo and mouse, which she loved, and that was just lovely. And we were having such a nice time. And then my dad invited us for dinner to stay, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be really lovely. And literally as soon as I said, yes please, my stomach just dropped. And I could just feel the anxiety just like flooding in. And I was desperately trying to try and work out like why am I suddenly, like, I'm fine, I feel fine, I've calmed down. Why am I suddenly feeling just this overwhelming urge to run away and hide and just escape? And I have no idea why, because I really wanted to stay, and actually we did end up staying, but it was really hard because I ended up, again, in floods of tears, completely freaking out because I just didn't know what to do, and I was so terrified that they would think it was because of them, and it wasn't because of them. None of this is because of anybody. It's just my brain going absolutely nuts, for no apparent reason, and I just felt completely terrible, and I didn't say anything for ages. I was desperately trying to like self-talk and calm myself down and get my brain in gear. Like, it's just dinner at my dad's in a house I used to live in. And like, Dad's a really good cook and I really wanted to eat there. And yeah, I didn't know what to do. And yeah, I ended up in floods of tears. And they were just lovely and saying like, you don't have to stay, you can start eating and take it home with you can take it home with you and just eat it at home. Like, there were so many options, and like, I find decisions really difficult. So it actually got a bit overwhelming at one point, because I was like, I literally don't know what to decide. And everything in me was saying, stay. And like the logical part of me and everything else was going, no, get out, get out, get out. It just felt like this huge threat that I couldn't see, feel or identify. So that was really hard, but yeah, I managed to stay, and I thought, right, okay, well, I've kind of beaten this. And then when I got home, I ended up in floods of tears again. So this was now 3 times in 8 hours. And I just felt like my ability to cope had just gone. And this happens each time this happens, and it's terrifying because I don't know how I get out of it. I don't know what makes it better. It just seems to go, but I don't know when or why. So I got in touch with my therapist because I was like, this is not okay, I don't know what to do. And she was brilliant, and she gave me lots of support and lots of techniques and tips to try, which I have found inordinately difficult. It turns out, and I had no idea, that people are meant to learn to self-soothe. And I didn't know this. I have not learnt this. So at 31, I'm trying to learn to feel things and to calm down, and to not get to this sobbing wreck place or completely shut off. And it's quite an experience. It's not one I'm enjoying, but I am trying, and I've certainly been a bit more stable since then, albeit I say that very tentatively because I don't feel like it's stuff I've done that's caused this. I feel like it's just sort of dissipated on its own. I don't know when it might come back. And yeah, it's just been really, really overwhelming. Like, I wasn't expecting any of this. And then to top it all off, I had a phone appointment with my psychiatrist last week, which put me completely into a tailspin again, because it just didn't go as I was expecting, and I don't cope very well with things I'm not expecting. So it was meant to just sort of be a checkup. I last spoke to him in December, and it was mostly him meant to just be checking up on whether I'd started therapy and how that was going. Because I told him that I was going to do this, and he'd said, okay, fair enough. And it was really difficult, and like, since then I kind of realised that I probably massively overreacted and took it all really badly, and so now I feel like a bit of a numpty. But it really upset me because he kept sort of saying like, oh, this therapy isn't recommended for the conditions that you have, and it's like, okay, but this is the only option I've got, and other professionals, like other therapists and psychiatrists, have told me that this might work in the past, but the NHS can't offer it. I'm now funding it, which isn't easy. Like, I'm on benefits, I don't have any other income. Therapy is not cheap. And he just kept sort of saying like, it's not in the NICE guidelines. It's like, no, I know it's not in the NICE guidelines, that's why I'm not getting it on the NHS. But it's not likely to harm me. There's all sorts of research, because I've looked into it, that says that actually it can help people with my conditions. It's not got as far as being researched by the NHS, and therefore they can't say, oh yes, have it. And I was saying that it looks like I may actually have another condition, and that it's difficult to talk about because there's stuff that I'm not comfortable talking about at the moment, but it looks like I may well have another condition. And he was kind of going, well, there's no evidence of that in your notes. And I was like, well, no, but what, like the last time I actually saw a health professional in person for my mental health was 6 years ago, maybe 7. And that was high as a kite on diazepam, and still having panic attacks in their office. And like they don't necessarily ask the right questions, and so much of this stuff is subjective. Like I have suffered, it turns out, trauma, and I didn't really know that because I didn't know that word, and I didn't know what counted, and I always thought it was like people who lived through war zones or like truly, truly terrible acts. And actually a lot of it's subjective, and if you feel traumatised, then you may well have suffered from trauma. And he's there kind of going, well, it doesn't look like you have. And I listed off a few of the worst things that have happened to me, and he was sort of like, well, yeah, I guess that would be trauma. It's like, well, there you go. It just feels like I have to fight them all the time, and like I'm disbelieved. And then he wanted to speak to the therapist, and I asked why, and he said to see how you're doing, and I'd already told him how I was doing. And I said, well, I've already told you this. And he just ignored me and started talking about something else. He also offered me medication, which I'm always desperate to have a quick fix, but I've been told by another psychiatrist in the past to never take antidepressants again because they react so badly in me and I have such awful side effects. And yet he's going, oh, well, why don't you just try this? But I'm not even recommending it, it's just you can take it if you want. And that's really hard. It's kind of like dangling a carrot in front of you. Like, that's a lot quicker and easier than therapy, if it works. The problem being, I have no history of these medications working, and I've taken at least 6 antidepressants, and none of them have ever helped. They've only ever made me really unwell. And it's just very difficult having someone sort of each time go, would you like this? And it's like, oh, I really don't know. I don't know what to do with that. And there then not really even be a discussion. Anyway, I just kept sort of feeling more and more attacked, and we got to the end of the phone call, and he said, like, so do I have your permission to contact her? And I again said, what for? And he said, to check on how you're doing. And I said, and I've already told you that. And he then said, but she might see it differently. And that just broke my heart, because I get that it's probably just him trying to check that I'm seeing someone legit, and I don't even know. It probably is just a care thing and a routine thing, but at the same time it's like, this is private therapy, it's not on the NHS, it's nothing to do with them. And I'm 31 years old, and it feels like I'm not trusted, and I've never done anything that warrants not being trusted. And I realise it just makes me sound paranoid and like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't think there's some huge conspiracy going on behind my back or anything, but I've been having such a tough time, and I'm trying so hard in therapy and outside therapy to get better and to make this work and to get as well as I can get, and to then feel like I'm sort of not trusted or not believed was just really, really hard. And like I say, I'm certain I've overreacted, and hopefully next time I won't. I don't have a great history with doctors, which always colours my view. I've had an awful lot of being disbelieved and not trusted. Like I say, for no reason. I have genuinely, certainly not knowingly, ever done anything that would warrant not being trusted. But yeah, it's just a very difficult position to be in. So yeah, and here we are, and I realise I've been talking really fast through the whole of this, which is what happens when I'm keyed up, because yeah, I've got all this nervous energy inside me that's just bursting out, and yeah, it's making it difficult to sleep, difficult to concentrate, difficult to function very well. Like, I'm recording this at gone 11 o'clock at night, and I literally got dressed at 11 o'clock to do this, and like, I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 tasks done a day, like basic things like washing up, because I just can't concentrate, I can't focus. My executive functioning is just shot. So anything that involves any sort of planning is basically just out the window, unless someone does it with me, because I can't hold enough things in my head at once. And I realise that probably doesn't sound very believable because I'm very articulate, but like my verbal capacity is higher than basically anything else. And so how I speak is not how I think. It's not how my brain works for tasks. So yeah, I'm struggling with that, and my sleep is just out the window. So at the moment I'm going to sleep at gone 3 o'clock every night, and then waking up is about like 11:30ish, and then feeling completely shattered still, even though I'm getting like 8, 9, 10 hours sleep at points. So I'm hoping that'll change. I'm also hoping that I can get back into vlogging, because I know that gets some of the stuff out of my head. But I find it quite difficult to sort of motivate myself to do that, because I'm always worried that I'm going to get nasty comments or people disbelieving me, and like all of that is really difficult for me, because I am telling the truth. I always tell the truth, and that's something that's really important to me and very fundamental to my character, and so to be disbelieved in any way, it feels like a real attack, which is why I don't sort of open myself up to criticism unless I'm capable of taking it, which I don't feel very strongly capable at the moment. So hopefully people will be nice. But yeah, I just wanted to update you on where I am, which is like not at the bottom of the pit, but not far off. I'm really hoping that things will start to improve soon. I'm certainly working really hard on that. But yeah, it's slow progress, if anything. And yeah, I just wanted to let you know how I am, and make myself actually do this, because I know it's helpful sometimes. But yeah, please do say something nice, hopefully, in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Do give the video a thumbs up if you fancy. Subscribe to my channel. It's not all doom and gloom. There's some colouring on there and reviews too, which I will hopefully get back to. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being there. I will record stuff behind the scenes as well as hopefully in front of the scenes too. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back again soon. But thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll hopefully be back soon. Thanks. Bye.